Voices from the Mausoleum is brought to you by the You Run Podcast Network and yourunpodcast.com.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum. This, I don't even know what category of interview this falls under, except super exciting. Steve and I are back with another, I guess this could be like a creator interview. I don't know what you want to call this, but we have very special guests today. We are joined by Chris and Jason, who are the book dads and the owners of Little Ghost Bookstore. Almost forgot the store part. Thank you guys so much for making time and coming on to talk to us.
Thank you for having us.
Likewise.
Yeah. We're super excited. I've been following you guys for a while. I'm a part of the indie horror book community. I've seen, people posting and boosting you guys, and I've seen stuff that y'all have done. And I'm actually wearing my bandana. I just realized you can't see the ghosts because I folded them over.
I know.
But anyway, no. So it was like, I was like, I gotta, at some point I need to message them and see about getting them on so we can talk about, all the really cool stuff that you guys do at your store and also for the community. So, and Steve, you haven't probably been on that side of it too much with the book stuff, but we're working on you. We're getting you there.
I don't know you people, but I'm happy to meet you.
One book at a time,
We're getting you. You were just part of picking stories for an anthology. I'm getting you.
Yes.
Yeah. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, no angels getting me into this world, and I'm loving it. It's a blast.
Yeah. So you guys kind of do a lot of different things. I know that you have obviously the bookstore. You're also a small publisher, and then you also have the subscription boxes, which are monthly and quarterly, which are super cool too. And as always, everybody's links will be in the description for the episode, so you can go find their socials and all of the stuff. Yeah, throw it up there.
I love that was like within hands reach.
Arm reach.
What's going on?
Yeah.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
So what are you showing us?
Yeah.
This is Demons and Death Drops. This is one of the first publications. Not the first, but one of the first. It's an anthology of queer performance horror. But it also has not only like spooky stories, but like poetry and wacky art in there, and it's all
very cool.
And like you crowdfunded this, didn't you?
I did.
Yes, it was one of the first crowdfunding things, and it came together.
Awesome.
I hope I never have to crowdfund again.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, tell us why. What's stressful about crowdfunding? What's that experience?
I'm sure you guys have experience with this, or maybe
I've seen it go different ways for other people. I think I am intimidated by it, so I really just break myself finaally. Is usually what happens.
Yeah, I would desire to break myself financially. Yeah.
Fair enough.
It makes me feel weird to ask for money. I even feel weird about pre-orders sometimes, particularly when it's other publishers and I can't promise that something's actually going to come out on time, because then I'm just standing in front of someone else's missed deadline, apologizing to someone who spent money. So in our case, that didn't happen, which is glorious. I was spookily on time with all of our stuff, but it's just it puts you in a strange position of trying to convince someone that your activity is worth it. And then I was kind of creating these scenarios where people would pre-buy packages that were worth they're worth more than what they're paying for. So financially, in the end, you kind of lose out once you've shipped everything. But it gave us the money to know that I could pay the authors well and on time.
Yeah.
When they had submitted the work, which was great, but also it's just now you have 120 people being where's my mail?
Yeah. No, sure. Yeah. I've seen some horror stories about it. I've seen it work really well for some people. I think it inevitably is probably in the future unless something really crazy happens. But it's definitely something I've tried super hard to avoid, because I can only imagine the stress of some of those circumstances.
Yeah, and just with what our deadlines were, all the rewards went out right around Christmas time, and then some folks and bless them, thought they were doing me a kindness by like not making a big fuss that they didn't get their package
Oh.
a months later. But after that time, I can't track it anymore.
Yeah.
So whatever happened, and it happened 3 months, 6 months ago, and I don't know. And it was Christmas, and inevitably packages
Sure.
lost, and
Yeah.
so you're just kind of dealing with stuff like that, and it sucks, and it makes you look bad, and people are upset, and I just like don't all of that.
I get it. No, I
bums
get it.
me out.
Yeah.
So, you know, like,
I think anytime I ship anything to anyone, I am stressed out until I know that and that's like one thing. If I do like a book giveaway and I send it, I'm like, please, for the love of Zeus, please just make it there. It's so stressful to ship stuff out because I feel like no matter what you're using to ship, there's always that question mark of like, will it, won't it? And you guys ship, I mean, you're talking about even going into other countries and shipping it. Like, yeah, I totally get that.
No,
yes,
we
have someone in Norway who didn't get their package, and
Wow.
and like I sent another one, and she is rightfully very upset, and I've like offered her a refund and she doesn't want it, and like I'm so sorry, but like once it is over the ocean, like I actually don't know where it is.
Yeah, sure. No,
and then even one of our contributors who was lovely, she has like a lovely, amazing story in here that is so great, and she's from Brazil, and like I sent her contributor copies, they didn't make it. I sent her new ones, and she asked me about them, and I was trying to track them, and like DHL claimed they had like attempted delivery. Same way that happens there, same way it happens to me sometimes, where clearly the delivery guy did not bother. So it got held at a DHL, and she was like, well, which one? And I was like, which one in Brazil? In your town? Oh my God. So like it just so happened that I managed to figure out which one and send her, and she got it. But it was like this whole runaround, especially with the time change thing. And I just, again, you feel so bad. Like she got paid for the story, and that's good, but like I did promise her 5 contributor copies, and then it was like I sent them twice, and then she barely got them, and it was just like, I hate this for you. It makes me feel so bad.
Yeah, we have subscriptions too, so like 70 packages go out a month, and like yeah, and like one of them there's a couple from Ireland, and like one of them lives on a farm, and they don't have like like rural Ireland, and I'm like, all right, this is a big deal, and like they don't really have an address.
You just pray,
but they have they seriously like have coordinates, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna put in some coordinates, and hopefully the Marines will get it to that. Like, I don't know how it's gonna get there.
They've received it, luckily. They've received it, but anytime stuff like that happens, I feel super bad because you just never want someone to feel like they're being like you stole their money.
I
know it's like less magical, but I wonder if it's easier just to promise like, here's a credit for Amazon, get it printed or something.
Yeah, I mean, like we don't do that at all. So like eventually I will get off this high horse probably soon, because I know it's important to authors for their like reviews and their algorithm. But at this exact moment, I have not listed anything on Amazon because as a small bookstore,
I know,
giving them a single $1
is just like, I get that.
Hurts my soul.
Damn you, Bezos. I know. I get.
Well, and authors hate it because Amazon, well, first of all, Amazon takes a lot of the money, but also like there have been cases where Amazon like deletes profiles out of nowhere and people lose their books, or people get review bombed, or like there's all these like really negative things that come along with it too. And I hate all of them. I didn't really enjoy using Ingram either, but it's hard because I can't afford to go to a local press and get copies of books that I don't know if they're going to sell or not. Or it's really hard. But God knows I wish there was like an alternative though, because I don't like using them either. I hate it. It's been a rough. And then like recently I got proofs for something, and like I got 4 of them, and like each one was like a different color. Like why are they a different color? Y'all take this much of the like, I just can't. Like it's fix it. I don't know.
Even with Ingram, like there's stuff with because like I like to do, like the binding is always a color. This is just like a personal thing for me. I'm just built like this. I don't know what it is, but I think it's because I own
class.
I own a bookstore. I own a horror bookstore, and fuck if I get another book that has a black spine.
Oh, I know.
Well, Angel says the same thing about horror anything.
Horror anything. T-shirts? Oh my God. I get so sick of owning black. I mean, and not that I don't have some really cool ones, because I do, but I'm like, every one of my T-shirts is like, none of the Voices stuff I own, none of it is in black. I got tie-dyes, lime greens. I got literally every color.
Yeah. So we have candy colored spines, and like they're all like, cool. I pull a good, like, nice Technicolor off the front and then use it for the spine. So this is my thing, is like, I don't want to do that. But it means that Ingram sometimes, like, I'll get a proof and it's great, and then I order another copy and it's like just a little bit off, and I'm like, God damn it!
Like, why though? Like, help me make it make sense. It was fine.
It was fine in my file according to your little template. Perfect.
It should be, I get that. We Cat Valor did a bleed page on something that we worked on together, and we got the proof and it was gorgeous. It looked so good. And when I tried to publish it, Amazon was like, no.
What do you mean no?
But it looks good. And I would honestly it was so infuriating, y'all. We had to she had to redo all the files. It was such a pain in the ass. But it was like, I don't understand. Like, y'all printed it fine for the proof. Like, why can we just take ownership? Like, if it's messed up, we'll just say, oh, our bad. Like, I don't know. It's frustrating.
Yeah, because Ingram does do that. They have done that where they're just like, we say it's wrong, but But if you say fine, then we'll print it. And I'm like,
sure. Yeah. And that makes sense, because it's at least on the person who is requesting it. But like, if you, I know you can print it, you already did. Like, I don't understand why you're telling me now that you can't. Yeah. It's infuriating. It's infuriating. I guess one of the, obviously, like, we're going to talk about the bookstore and kind of all of that. Like, I want to know, like, the kind of the journey to that. But I kind of wanted to get to know you both a little bit better and ask, where did your love of horror come from?
Do I want to go first? Where did my love for horror?
He looked right at you, like.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've been talking for a while.
No, but like everyone seems to have like this discovery. Like, they watched a thing.
Sure.
And like I don't necessarily have one. I think I just naturally gravitated toward it. But
that's okay too. Yeah.
But also, like, when I was a kid, and I still to this day, it's like antimantium. Like, it's not going to change. Like, I really hold dear the holy quadrilogy is what I call it, which is Terminator, Predator, Alien, and RoboCop.
Oh, no, I love that. Okay.
Yeah, and and most of those movies have horror elements in it, and especially Alien and Predator's got some thrilling stuff. Terminator sure does. Like, so, like, whatever version of horror there is, there's like an element of that in there. There's body horror in RoboCop. There's some
a lot of body horror
and stuff for the Terminator. Like, there's Alien, and it's got the chest burster and all that.
Yeah.
So, like, it's got a little bit of everything in there, and then, like, when you watch those 4 movies, like, ad nauseum, you kind of like springboard to other stuff when you go to the video store, and then, like,
that's fair.
Then you start to watch, the classics of Freddy and Jason and Leatherface, and then, like, after that, like, well, what else is out there? Like, oh, Maniac Cop's a thing. What's he up to? And you kind of keep going, and then, like, you find out, like, there's different waves of horror. Like, you get Sam Raimi stuff, you get the Ari Aster stuff, you got the Exorcist stuff, you got like the Panos Cosmatos, Mandy stuff, like whatever the
I gotcha. Yeah.
And you're like, all right, like there's sub genres of this. There's not just one thing. So, like, it's got everything for everybody.
It does.
That's always the weird thing when people come into the store. I'm like, hey, I'm looking for a horror book. I'm like, well, all right.
You're in the right place.
You're in the right place. What do you need? And they're like, I don't know. I don't really read horror. I'm like, you got to like something that I can.
Something that can connect the pieces.
Like,
Yeah.
True crime. You like podcasts?
10,000 subgenres.
Yeah.
Pick your poison.
Yeah, it really does have a little bit of everything. That's
and
true.
it's very similar. I always make this joke where it's coming in and saying like I like horror is kind of like saying like I like music.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, who doesn't? That's cool. Why don't you go ahead?
When I was growing up, my dad used to watch a lot of horror, and my mom had cancer my whole life, so she was often in the hospital, and it was scary. And I was seeking a lot of comfort, trying to stay out of bed and up with him. And eventually, as I got older and older, being like 6,
Sure.
The negotiation was, well, you can stay up with me and watch what I'm watching, but I don't want to hear it, like that it's too scary. Or
Right.
I want you can't be up all night, like being disturbed by what you just saw if you're asking for it. And I was like, okay. So I watched a lot of shit I should not have watched, and was very trained in the keeping it in of the I am very scared and upset right now, but I'm just gonna poke her face.
Just swallow it down and just like yeah.
So I don't know if I just like learned to like it like I learned to like medicine, or like
That
but
works.
but Alien, so I have like a big Alien, but that was my one that I loved / hated, because it was so terrible. Every time when I was a kid that I would eat too much and get a tummy ache, I was like, this is the end. It's happening.
Did Aliens help you at all?
Yes, well, that's the thing, is that then you kind of learn the final girl of it all, right? That like Ripley comes out like blood soaked and triumphant every time, and there's this like catharsis to it that your life doesn't give you when you're in these like scenarios of like almost perpetual limbo of like being afraid and having no control, is like seeing these characters like go through it and come out like even to some extent, like, the Nightmare on Elm Streets are my favorite still, and I saw them very early, and it was like, the person who learns to not be afraid anymore gets out okay. And so like that part of it was always like extremely resonant for me, and like that's the stuff I love.
No, that's a super good point. I don't know. My dad actually is the reason that I got into so much stuff too, but I had a sibling show me Poltergeist when I was like 4.
That's a tough one.
That was kind of like my jump start, but then like it became like a point of intrigue after that. Like, okay, like my dad watches like cheesy sci-fi stuff, and sci-fi and horror are just like they go so well together. And so I watched, like the Langoliers and like, just these random things. And that's it just grew and grew and grew from there. Kind of like what you were saying actually, Jason, about like how you start learning that there's all these other things. It's not just this like linear path of this one type of subgenre. So
and I'm pretty sure like because of that I could tell like, Steve, is that a door guardian ghost from
so I got so that's the Beast who was also on my arm.
That thing's scared the hell out of me when I first saw it. That's awesome. That's really cool.
And then so she got me the custom VHS tape with Carol Ann on it. And the only Poltergeist pop that they make, I have, of course. So
we're big Poltergeist fans.
Clearly.
2 and 3, not that bad.
I defend those till my dying day. The special effects in those movies are incredible.
When he vomits the kilo worm and then becomes a weird mutant man and walks away.
But all the issues within a family unit, and just as a metaphor, and like this thing is like alcoholism and abuse. And we're just gonna put it in there as and then plus, I'm gonna
go ahead.
But like the puddles and the reflections and the corpse crawling and crazy stuff in those sequels that don't get enough love.
No, I agree.
But anyway.
Somebody was just telling me that they, it was Lexi. I just did Lexi's influential horror, and she had Poltergeist on there. Where as we were talking, she was like, you know what? Actually, I think I like Poltergeist 2 more. Like she was talking about how there was like things in that, like she talked about Kane and some just different things, but she was talking about how she actually thinks 2 is her favorite.
It's got I mean, there's like some heartstring pulling going on in that movie.
For sure.
I just did on a podcast where I talked about how Tangina, I think, is one of the greatest horror heroes.
She's the best.
Oh, that's a good call.
Yeah,
I think she's phenomenal, from like rescuing Carol Ann in 1 to becoming a grandmother / mother figure in 2 and 3.
Yeah,
like incredible.
She's great.
But anywho, I digress because I could talk about Poltergeist forever.
We both.
That rules.
So now we talked about sort of your entry points to horror. Like, let's talk about the shop a little bit. Sort of like, what was the birth of Little Ghosts?
Go ahead. No, this is fun. No, start from like the pandemic and Haley Piper and stuff.
So when I don't know what it was like for you, but Canada and particularly Toronto went through a series of lockdowns that were all very long and all very terrible during the pandemic. So
yeah.
And like I agree with it on principle, because it did mean like our case tolls and death tolls were like
lower
fractions.
Yeah.
But so I was running the comic book coffee shop that I had up till now for 10 years. And it was like, you can be open, you can't do anything, you're closed forever, everyone stay inside. Okay, you can do takeout from the front door, but no one can come within 6 feet of you. Like, it was just like insane. And it wound up, they kept telling us like 2 weeks. And then they would open us fully, and then they would close us again, and this went on for like 2.5 years. And we would go entire winters of not being able to operate. And
I didn't know it was that bad. Dang.
Yeah, no, it came to like a total of like 438 days total, but it was like all like
just spread out over smaller increments.
Yeah. And every time it would be like that was the last one, and then it would be like, never mind.
Yeah, that makes it feel like
would happen, and then they would backtrack.
Yeah. So you just basically had to stay like hooked onto the news to hear if like you were gonna have to close your doors again, and then stay inside and not see anyone.
Jeez.
And so obviously very scary time to be anyone, but also to own a small business. Yeah, particularly horrible. And then like, you know, to have staff and people you're protecting and trying to figure out how we were going to do stuff. And the way that I coped was the way that you would imagine, which was that every time we were told to go home for 2 weeks, a month, I would order a ton of horror novels to my house.
Well,
and
we did do this. We did do like NPR's like they do like a top 100 books every year, and I'm usually interested in NPR. But I'm like, what's their horror section like in NPR? And like, there's some good stuff on there, like Victor LaValle was on there and stuff. But then like the majority of them, like, this isn't really that horror-y. Like, it's not like
there's a lot of classics and stuff we'd already read. So anything that was on there that I didn't have, I read a lot of Victor LaValle actually.
Yeah.
Recommend. But yeah, I would order between 6 and 12 books, and I'm just like a very fast reader as well. So like Jay is often like, you read like other people read a pamphlet.
That is true.
So I would order these stacks, and at a certain point, I had ordered The Terror, Nick Cutter's The Troop, Crossroads by Laurel Hightower, and The Worm and His Kings by Haley Piper. And I burned through all 4 books, and what I left with was that Crossroads and The Worm and His Kings, I just kept being like, what is this, and why is there not more of it? Like, this is blowing my mind. So I went to Off Limits Press website. I emailed them and was like, can you send me everything that you have in your catalog? I'll pay for it and shipping to Canada. I don't care. I'm in lockdown. I've got nothing to do.
Sure.
And then I read Max Booth's Touch the Night, and similar thing. I went to Barnes and Noble's website and I ordered a ton of Ghoulish books. And And I just kept doing that. And after 2 years, what I had really was a catalog of presses, small presses, and a bunch of books that you can't get here, that no one knew about, that had blown my mind. And we went into lockdown for that final winter, and I went, what if I built a bookstore? Well, everyone's at home. Like, what if I built a place for all this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And commercial real estate was super cheap because no one wanted to open a business in a climate that meant you were open, you were closed, you were open.
Yeah, sure. I didn't think about it that way. Yeah, sure.
Yes. So I was like, I'm just going to look. And like my laundry list for what I wanted in a storefront was long. It was like, it has to have like beautiful hardwood floors and amazing display windows and central air. And like, it's an insane list for a city like Toronto, because we're basically like New York, right? Like everything's insane and everything's a dump and everything has old electrical and you don't want any of it. And I was like, if I don't get this laundry list, then I don't build this bookstore, and that's fine. And then the 23rd place that the real estate agent took me to is where Little Ghosts is. And I had been in there for 15 minutes and I went, if it's not this one, it's nothing. Like,
it was mostly done. It was
it was so
it was just a gorgeous.
Oh, wow.
It was like an immediate
That's
look.
intense, though, to walk
Yeah.
into something and feel that. That's great, though. Yeah.
So I took an insane business loan. And luckily my husband did not think I was absolutely batshit.
That's cool.
That is good.
Yeah.
Yes, that's important. He thought I was a little batshit, but like not completely.
I'm right here. I didn't do any of that.
But we built it, and I was fully like, and then like I'll just kind of like hang out there for half of my week, and I know that like there's like a pretty small chance that this is like anything, but like, you know, we can at least fulfill orders, and I can at least like bring some visibility to some stuff. And then the first like soft open weekend, we were open. Tim McGregor stopped by, David Demchuk stopped by, like,
Oh yeah,
Susan Palumbo stopped, like so many horror authors, and like they would come in and they'd be like, "Hi, and I'd be like, "I know," cry. And we closed the door after 48 hours of that, after being kind of raided. Like there was nothing, there was so many just empty spaces on the shelf, and I was like, I need help. I did not think
this is gonna happen.
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna noodle around by myself and just be like, "Hey, do you want a weird book?
That, yeah.
I like weird books." Like, so you know, we hired some people, and now it's been almost 3 years.
Yeah, you did it.
Wow.
That's amazing. Well, right. Every business is like it's on taking a chance.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I know. Like I said, like I ran a comic book cafe for 10 years, and like there were many times where it was just like me and my best friend like wiping the countertop and like listening to tunes and playing Candy Crush on our phones and reading comic books, like, and that's fine.
You're being a bit modest. You're doing a bunch of stuff to like.
Sure.
You keep it lubricated with like events and markets and
it's not.
I was gonna say. I mean,
yeah.
I know specifically, at least on the Little Ghost side of things.
Yeah.
You know, I know you do like readings, and you have authors come by and do like those kinds of things. So that was actually what I was gonna say. So like, I don't know if that was something that you also did at the comic book place, but I know like it seems like y'all are always busy, like always just doing something. Like it seems like I'm always seeing something about, like I said, like a new event or a new author coming by to read or something. So.
Well, I mean, these 2 months are like particularly deceptive because like it's not just that we are what we are and it's spooky season. It's also that like major and even medium publishers that don't specialize in this all want their horror releases to come out in the next 2 months.
Boom. Yeah.
Right. They want to place them here. So it's like, it's also kind of that where it's like,
I see.
You know, it gets a little crazy because everyone else is like, oh, we only care about this stuff like right now. So like our events calendar gets like a little zany.
That makes sense. I get it. Okay.
Yeah. Not to say it's not always a little bit like
sure
way, but it's also that like we've built a reputation for being a place that likes to host authors, and like that's always something that I've done regardless of where I am. It's just like we were received in such a warm way, and people were so excited, being like, oh, I've never seen like my book in a store, or like I've never.
That's a big fucking deal. Like I see the post all the time from authors who are like, when it's like their first experience, and it's such a big deal to them. Like it means so much to them. Yeah.
And then we do a lot of like work to make sure the back catalog is good too. So like even like for those examples, like Haley Piper and Laurel Hightower, like I really like their work. So we have all their releases and the current one, right? It's
sure. I got you.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't think like necessarily a common way to stock a bookstore, but because we're so specialized, you can do that.
Yeah, and they exploded, right? Like we read what was that? Worm and His Kings and the Lion one, or the Possession.
Possession of Natalie Glasgow.
And like that was like the only two we could really find, and maybe like a short story collection. And now they have like 10 books on the shelf.
I bought the last 20 copies ever of that printing of Possession of Natalie Glasgow out of Haley Piper's closet via Twitter DM.
Good call.
Nice.
She was like, I have these if anyone wants them. And I was like, excuse me, I know you probably want to sell them to individual people for more money, but could I just buy them all?
Well, that's how business is done, you know? So you guys do a lot. I mean, so you do readings and signings. What other variety of stuff do you guys usually host, or are there things that you would love to see?
Weekend we just had. So we have a charter of the HWA in Ontario.
Oh,
that's a new thing.
So that's really great. So we try and work with them whenever they need a physical space to host.
Oh, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. So we hosted their publishing short fiction workshop. So they had Jang and a couple other authors come.
I remember seeing those posts. That's right. Yeah.
And then it was open to any like up and coming authors. So we had a variety of like experiences. Some people had been published a few times. We had an author who's in Book of Queer Saints. We have an author who is in our upcoming Little Guts, which like I didn't know because like
that was adorable.
Yeah, it was very cute.
It was incognito.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, I'm actually in that." I was like, "Oh, we should give you guys a sticker because like I only email, right? So like I've never." So and then people who had like never even tried to submit anything before, or who are just taking a writing class at the local college. So it was like very mixed to like ask questions about like Submission Grinder and like talk about what it's like to like, and those are great like networking opportunities for authors, and it's also just like extremely nice and wholesome to watch people helping each other.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because that's one of the things like we talk about, and Steve and I's horror community also extends into like quite a list of like podcasters and content creators and people not even related to the book world. But like we always talk about like the little community that we're like a part of on both sides of it is one of the best reasons to be in the genre, because like you just get these really great people and you meet a lot of really cool people and you get to interact and learn things. And as long as you're around what I feel is like the right people, then you end up boosting each other constantly. And that's how you experience growth and strength and you learn things and you get experience. And yeah, I love that. That's a super valid thing to say. I agree.
It's good to see because the general internet crowd is wild.
It's, the internet is the general public, so it can be anything. And it is.
It's a weird place sometimes. Lots of times we were talking about, we briefly mentioned Scream 6 earlier, talking about filming stuff. I stay as far away from Scream Twitter as I can possibly get. I don't go anywhere.
Now. Oh my God.
Well, I just say I think the internet has completely fried everyone's prefrontal cortex. So
it's so funny because like I feel such a child of the internet in a good way and like the worst way also, because like I growing up especially like, I think weirdly as a trans person, and this is like my experience specifically, but like I had early Warcraft. I was like a big fucking orc. I never got on the like, I was a guy on the internet.
Yeah.
I was always a 40-year-old man, and I was like 13.
For the horde, right?
Yes. and also I would get on forums, and I had like ICQ Messenger, and like people just like not being who they say they are was like kind of just part of your experience of the internet at that time. And it was like almost like an open secret. Like you would do like the ASL thing.
Oh,
age, sex, location. Like
you're dead. No, you're I remember that too.
Yeah. And so now when people are like, this person wasn't who they said they were and all these things, I'm like, that's the internet.
I mean, that's like the internet was given to us with the caveat of like, no one is who they are.
It's
and
an
like,
idea.
all the parents were like, be careful.
And you whatever. And now like when I make a friend on the internet who's legitimate, like we wouldn't have like our Flipbook Ghoulish Ghosts collaboration if I wasn't making friends on the internet, because I got to Texas having never met Max Booth in my life. Like that's just a non-binary ghoul from the internet who invited me to and I flew to Texas to go. Like that's actually insane, kind of. And it was great and fun, and we like
that was a great time. And my porn bot followers are supportive. Like they seem like they're holding. They survived the Elon Musk takeover, so that's not so bad. Yeah.
My husband shared a porn bot message he got with me today. Hilarious.
I'm still getting offers to buy Bitcoin. Like we're doing okay.
Oh my! We actually got one of those on Instagram. It went into like the folder where you have to like say and it was like I couldn't find a link to your Patreon, and I wanted to. What did it say? It was like I want to do a one-time donation of, and it was like some cryptocurrency, but it was like not even one of the ones that I'd ever even heard of, and I was like, no.
Well, we had that on our Kickstarter where like a couple of people, and who knows if they were legitimate or not, I have no idea, but like messaged the store being like, but I want to donate in blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you can donate with your credit card.
Yeah, that's I'm
I want to give you 5,000 centipede coins.
Yeah. I mean, you can give me 5,000 centipedes, I'd probably bring you a book.
You get a book for 5,000.
If you went to all that trouble, I
don't dump them on the floor. But like,
put them in something like
that actually seems better than keeping them in a bag. That's
bring them in the bag and be like, a terrarium. What are you doing?
A centipede farm, you know.
See, now I'm worried about the centipede.
I'm worried about my porn bots.
Centipede porn bots. That's the next wave.
Every time
all those legs.
Every time porn bots it's an iStock photo and it says like, "Hey, how are you? My name's
Booby McBoobenstein."
Every time that happens, I'm like, thank God I'm 39. I don't know what 20-year-old me would do.
Oh my God, that's a valid point. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have that. It was just ASL, you know, and then like just the like HTML style chat.
I know exactly.
I was on MySpace, you know, doing the duck face.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is what
I'm up here though.
That.
Like you're, from like,
you know. And
can you imagine getting a weird like private message from like a ostensibly like sexy human that says like, "Hey, how are you? I was checking out your thing and I thought it was pretty." You'd be like, "Oh, what? All right, I guess this is real."
There's a couple on our street, and bless their hearts, they met on MySpace.
Nice.
My best friends met on MySpace. I have a childhood best friend that is I've known since I was like 5 years old. She's still my best friend, and that's actually how she met her husband. They've been married for almost 12 years, and they've been together longer. They've been together forever. I'm like, well, dang, like I wouldn't have thought.
Again, maybe making friends on the internet is not always so bad.
See. Yeah,
there's a whole generation of kids that are growing up like, my parents met online. Like, it's just
that's true.
It's a new thing.
Honestly, meeting on MySpace seems more normal than Tinder.
Yeah,
that's my hot take.
I also
meeting
feel like it
randos on
feels more
MySpace.
normal than meeting someone organically. Like, I don't know who does. I'm not like, who meets people organically anymore? God, not like.
I mean, our first conversation really happened in a bar.
Yeah. But like,
Oh, did it?
Like,
Y'all met organically.
Like,
that never happens.
But like, it is a bit though. If I meet like someone who like, not in like a romantic way, but just a friendly person, like, hey, maybe we should hang out later. I'm like immediately like, who are you? What do you want? Like, I'm just like,
I know.
Why?
I'm like, look, I'm not looking for friends. I don't have time. I'm not. It's a big investment. I'm not interested.
We didn't send memes to each other for a while. They weren't Simpsons references pre-season 9. No, thank you. We're not gonna hang out. Sorry. Like, I just.
It's true. I did ask you to my birthday party by finding you on Twitter.
Yes, you did. And I made a guacamole joke, and then you secretly love guacamole. So Kesmet's real.
Oh my God, fate. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah.
I just feel like tell that story.
I was like, I don't have his phone number. How do I find him? Twitter exists.
I mean, yeah, internet stalking. I mean,
it works sometimes.
It does. It can be super helpful when learning things. I know, like,
it's also like, who says no to, hey, come to a screening of All the Evil Deads?
That's also true.
That was my birthday.
Oh yeah.
It was All the Evil Deads.
Yeah, that was right.
I was like, come to this, and if you had said no, I would be like,
I remember I got really drunk, and then I stood on the stool and was like, everyone quiet, because it was the scene where Bruce Campbell did like, this is my boomstick. He did that.
Oh, yes.
For that, and then everyone kind of cheered, and then I was like, yeah, I can't let this keep going or I'm going to get kicked out. So
that's so funny. Yeah, I feel like Steve, did you meet Dan organically? Just curious.
We met in college. Yeah.
Oh, college. That's right. I did know that.
Yeah. He wasn't a film major, but he was friends with film majors. So we ended up working on a film together.
Oh, right.
You were a film major?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But I don't do film stuff anymore.
This one.
I was film, and now I'm a therapist. So
that seems like an organic transition. Honestly, I'm very.
Well, everyone in film needs therapy, so there you are.
Give it a year.
Part of it was like, I need to learn about the world before I tell stories about it, and now I'm trying to write again.
Sure. That's great. It's awesome.
Yeah. So we'll see. But again, this isn't my interview.
It's a neat thing. It opened doors to new conversations. That's the right move.
Yeah, it's actually a good segue into something I did want to touch on, at least, which is your movie, which Sunset Superman is going to be at Fantastic Fest. Did I get that right?
Yeah, it's coming up what day?
Next week?
20th. Yeah, it's on the 20th. I'll be there 26th. Yeah, I'll be there. I'm excited.
Yeah. And is this your first? This is feature length first, or
no? Will be my fourth. Hold on, let me look at our fifth, fourth.
Oh wow, okay.
Fourth feature length movie. Yeah, the first movie was just like a bunch of kids running around in the woods, and I put a movie together.
Right.
I'm proud of it. But I don't think anyone should or could watch it. And then like there was one called The Briefcase, which had like Vinny Pastore and like Kit Pardue in it. I'm really proud of that one, but it's like small. And then He Never Died was with Henry Rollins. And that one's on Netflix. And then like
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then this one coming up is Sunset Superman. It's my latest.
Yeah, I saw the clip. I think it was one of y'all that shared. It had to have been one of y'all that shared like a clip. It was like a very brief scene, like fight scene.
Yeah,
and that choreography that looks so good. I'm super excited.
I mean, that was mostly. Thank you. Yeah, that was. I mean, I really talented fight choreographer Teek Fong, who just was nominated for an Emmy for directing an episode of with the Shadows.
What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They do all the choreography for The Boys and there's dark. So I'm like, what are you doing here?
That's crazy. That's awesome, though.
And then we were like, yeah, it's Michael J. White. He knows everything. He knows every mixed martial art down to a T. Throw all that out. I want this to be like I just want this to be a brawler guy. And then we came up with a fighting style, and we really strategically we went through like the phases of how this fight should look and what's going to go on with that.
Well, it was also good because Teague is actually Teague started off as a stunt man. Stunt person, rather.
If you watch a movie from like 1992 to 2007 that was shot in Toronto, Teague is somewhere in there. Background,
yeah. And they are a mentor for the kind of romantic co-lead in the film, who is also a trans person. So it was like very comfortable for us to train with Michael and have Teague there as well. So it was just like awesome. Fortuitous, really. Yeah.
I'm excited about it. It's there's bits that might be kind of scary in it, but it's more just like genre culty kind of
action comedy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the people that don't know, like what? Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about Sunset Superman. Like, what's it all about?
Sunset Superman is Michael Jai White stars as JT, who he works for Meals on Wheels like service because we couldn't get the licensing for it, and he's a generally nice dude, but he's really into heavy metal, especially Dio. He's got a Dio patch on his back. That's where the title Sunset Superman comes from. But like cool. he's also he's also the primary guardian for his grandmother who raised him, but she lives in a remote cabin in the middle of nowhere, so he has to like drive every day to like deliver groceries and help out with whatever and come back. And then for the weekend he's like, I'm just going to stay up for this weekend. I'm too tired. I'm just going to like recharge my batteries with my grandma, and she's kind of cantankerous and mean, and he gets up there and he starts drinking, and then there's a home invasion. And like his primary goals are to like make sure grandma doesn't know about the home invasion. But
oh my god!
While I'm gonna punch some guys that are trying to break in here.
That's awesome. So when is the festival? It's next week or?
That's it starts on the 20th it's the 19th to 26th.
Yeah,
that's the festival. Yeah.
Okay.
And then post-festival, the goal is disdistribution.
No, it's Tubi. Tubi's going to take it.
Tubi.
Oh, nice! Congratulations, that's awesome.
It will be available for everyone to see it.
And the title for Tubi, I think, is "Don't Mess with the Grandma," while the rest of the world will be called Sunset Superman. Not a big fan of that, but what are you going to do?
Is it because of Superman? Is it like a DC?
It might be the Superman thing. They also like the Warner Brothers just like they bought like the Warner's catalog with Superman on it. I'm like, yeah, it's a Dio reference though. It's not even supposed to be Superman. And they're like, we don't care. And I'm like, yeah, I get that from a technical standpoint.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's hard when you go up against big studios. It's
Yeah, we have a friend that put a film out with Amazon, or was trying to put a film with Amazon, and he was like, they want everything. They want your children, they want your house. He was like, they want everything. So I told them, no, I'm just gonna put it on YouTube. He was like, it wasn't worth what it was gonna like what they were gonna take, which again, Amazon, right? Like we were just talking about that, but it's like, it's hard because especially when you're in the indie filmmaking side of it, like they just want to take all of it and they don't want to give you any freedoms or let you keep rights, and it can get complicated.
You never know, though. I mean, look at Rocket Rocket.
They can do a thing. They want to do a spin-off, but they want nothing. They want to just make it their own. Like it's a weird thing. It really is. And also, you're not really sure how payment distribution works. Like when it comes to royalties and stuff. I'm just like, I have no like. He Never Dies has been on Netflix for 10 years. I have no idea I haven't seen a spreadsheet. I have no idea what's happening with that. Because Netflix is like pretty secretive, right? They keep things under the level, so for their own benefit. Yeah,
for sure.
We live in a weird time.
Everyone wants content, but no one wants to pay anything.
No.
And then we've gotten to a point.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
I was going to say, and then we've gotten to a point where we've like oversaturated.
Yeah.
It's insane. They get to this point where they're like, well, the little people will just take whatever because they're not willing to, they just assume that, I think, that they can just take advantage of people who are like not these big production companies that don't need them, right? So it's frustrating for sure. I guess we're coming up on like an hour, so we don't want to keep you guys too long.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. Oh wait, we do have a thing in the morning, but it's not that early.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I specifically kind of wanted to touch on, we've touched on it a little bit off and on already, and we talked about it a little bit before we hit record, was there was an incident a little while ago now, where someone came into the store, pitched a fit, made a mess, all because they were I guess it was did they not come in knowing, like, I don't know how they wouldn't know about the store, but like what kind of happened around that? Because I want to get to the part where we talk about the community, but I just remember when this incident happened, just being like super disgusted by it, hating that it happened.
Okay, so I can break it down.
Yeah.
So this person came in, looked around. Like, if you've never interacted with Little Ghost before, been there, seen our Instagram, looked at any of our posts, observed me being trans in the wild, you might be surprised to find that mostly queer stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, that should surprise no one, because horror is an extremely queer genre.
Yeah.
Yes.
Folks going through all sorts of experiences and sort of working it out.
What is queer about Hellraiser, Chris?
Everything.
What is queer about Hellraiser?
Everything.
Nothing. Greatest horror film.
Straightest horror film.
Oh, Cenobites are so gay. But you know, we have a ton of like protect trans youth, like t-shirts and like a big trans flag in the window, and like just, you know, all this stuff, and then we're all existing being visibly queer in the shop. So it is what it is. This woman came in and she looked around and she went, oh, like, well, I have a gay sister. And okay, that's great, cool, amazing.
Bring her to the shop.
Yeah, welcome. Happy for you. Can I get you a book? So she was kind of like, yes, but I think it goes too far when we talk about giving gender affirming care to kids and teenagers. And it was like one of those things where, like, you're not sure if you're being baited or not, like, you don't know. And so the conversation sort of went down a rabbit hole of like, yeah, well, cis people do gender affirming care all the time.
Literally all the time. Yes.
Whether that be cosmetic with makeup or actual hormones.
Yep.
You know, and she decided that calling her cis was a slur. And saw fit to, just throw her coffee at bookshelves, swear, make a scene, storm out.
What a cis thing to do.
For real.
Right? The straights, are they okay? I don't know.
I know.
I meant that as
valid question.
Yeah. And it was a bummer, and we kind of like took stock of what was left, like damaged, and because, you know, it was like, oh, do we like submit a claim for this? And it was like, you know, like $800 worth of books, and your claim amount is $1,000, so you're like, you can't really claim it, and if you do, your insurance goes up. So it was like one of those things where it's like, I guess we just have to eat $800 because this person is a fucker. But I was feeling like extra spicy about it, because like the staff member who was there was kind of like, oh, she must have clocked me and I'm sorry. And I was just like very angry. I was like, no, like
not okay.
No, I absolutely won't have anyone in my space being like, I'm sorry for being gay in the space. Like,
right. I know what you're saying.
Like visibly anything, like you should not come to work and think about that ever at all. And so instead I like posted like our video of all of us wearing like the Protect Trans People shirts, and was like, you know, if it hasn't been clear already, which like confusing to me, if not, if you feel these ways, just like don't come here.
Yeah,
like,
what's the point?
Like, don't talk to us. Like, our comments are locked on any of our posts now, where the staff are visible and we're talking about these things, because like I just like don't want to deal with the negativity of it. And like, and also if anyone wants these, here are these like coffee stained hate crime books. And I like posted them, and I was kind of like being a toothy little bastard like I can be sometimes. If someone harms the people who I'm supposed to protect, I get like this.
I mean, yeah.
But instead of it kind of being like a haha or I'm sorry, it was like this insane thing where all of a sudden all the books were bought and people were like messaging me being like, what else can I do? And blah, blah, blah. And anyway, we like completely pivoted within like 2 hours to like donating all the proceeds from sales of Demons and Death Drops to like a local trans health organization. Cause I was like, we don't need any more. Like the books are bought, like we're not at a loss now, like we're donating to local queer organizations because like those exist all the time. And like if you're from out of town, donate to yours. Like we're fine, everyone's safe. Like people are sending us cookies, like people are showing up with baked goods. We couldn't eat all the baked goods people kept showing up with.
Though, but I love that lovely.
Though. But yeah, it was like, okay.
And then he started thinking, I was like, hey, if there's hate crimes, we get baked goods.
Yeah. You know, throw a coffee every time I want a cookie. But no, it was extremely lovely, and like a reminder that like, you know, in that moment afterwards when we had all the pile of books and we're looking at what we lost, and you know, people are saying to me that they should have been less visible and my heart is breaking. It was like a good reminder that like that is not actually where we're living. Like that is not the community we've built. That's not the people we have. Like this was like one drop in the bucket of like love and support that we actually like exists within. So it was good.
Yeah, no, I love it. I was kind of keeping up with it, you know, as things were being posted on Twitter, and it's always like I don't want to say I'm surprised, because I'm not surprised when the community kind of comes in and then does these things for other people in the community, but it's always like this overwhelming, like, oh right, like there are good people, and oh right, there are people who care and who love and who are willing to do these things, and like we like the people that we know that we've connected with, and now obviously that includes you guys as well. It's like I feel very fortunate because I go out into my day-to-day life and I'm like, I hate fucking everybody here. You know, like I work with a bunch of bigots. My partner's trans. When we work together, that's actually how we met, sort of organically. And like, you know, she wasn't out at work. It wasn't a safe place, and it got dangerous because of the comments that were being made about, you know, how feminine she is when she's not supposed to be a she, and all, you know, that kind of shit. And so it became an unsafe space, and so you know, she doesn't work there anymore. She's been gone for almost a year now.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
And so like, well, and right now she's like going to school to do like digital art and stuff. She actually did the cover for our werewolf anthology, like super talented. It's so nice. And of course, and I'm sure you guys can attest to this, it's super fun doing projects with somebody that you love. Like it can be just this very just like rewarding thing, but to your point, like it's you go out into the world and you see these things and you're like, ugh, and then sometimes other people that you've met on the internet, or even maybe just in your own space in general, you're like, it's not everybody. Like it's bad. It's not where it needs to be, but it does kind of make you feel at least a little bit better to have like a space where you're like, okay, I can see that. I mean, it shouldn't have happened at all. And I am sorry that you guys went through that, but it is always, it's really cool to see the community kind of rise to the occasion like that and be so happy and willing and eager to support, bake cookies or books or whatever, you know, like it's really cool to see.
Yeah, that was heartwarming. Like,
yeah. No, I bet it was. Well, I think we've covered pretty much most things I wanted to talk about, I think. One last little, and this will be for both of you to kind of answer. If there's a different answer, you may have the same answer. What do you think, and it may be the community, it's okay if we've technically already answered this, but what do you think is the most rewarding part of what you do? Because you also do publishing, which we didn't get to dive into too much, but you're also getting into that kind of space as well. Is there something in particular that you're just like, oh, this is like the one thing that makes me feel so good when I get to do this?
I think it's when, I don't know, because how small it is when it starts. Like it's literally just Chris being like, I think we should do submission acceptance. And I go, will there be a theme? And they're like, I don't know. I've been thinking spooky, gooey gut stuff. And I'm like, okay. Like, it starts like that. Like it starts that small. Like it's no louder than the conversation we're having right now.
Yeah.
And then like immediately after that, we're kind of like, let's watch X-Files in bed. Like we kind of like let it think about it. And then you start slowly putting the cogs start to move and like small things start to happen. And then you eventually do the submissions. And then eventually you see the book. And then eventually you format the book. And you're like, this was just us fooling around on a couch. Like it wasn't like anything.
Right.
And there's now there's a person I don't know who sent us words, and I'm making sure the margins fit. I screwed up on a book, but I and I did that, and then I'm like, and then eventually like I'm holding this book, and I'm like, and most of the time we meet the author at some point. They a lot of them are Toronto. I'm like, oh, here's your book. It's pretty good. I remember when this was like I don't know. A whisper on a couch, like and so like that. I don't know, like Harry Potter magic isn't real, but that's kind of magical. Like that went through.
No, it for sure.
It was just kind of like, hey, it'd be neat, like, and now it's a physical thing, and money, not a lot of money, but was transferred, and like people had to get up at dawn to go print a thing, and then there's like it's just like that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
For me, it's like either way, the relationship to authors is. Oh.
What do they have to say?
Yeah, he's very excited about the noise outside our door right now. It's the relationship to authors, whether it be that like I'm taking like the photos that I always take of new books and someone's very excited to just see their book in person. Or the more intimate ones where I've like had Zoom calls where I'm doing story beat edits with an author that we picked up, and then I'm showing them what it's going to look like, and then it's a physical object that they can hold in their that change, and like our press is so small, so like I always hope that Little Ghosts is like some sort of a stepping stone for their career, like whether it be that like someone sees this, that they get picked up by a bigger place, or the small books that we could carry, like the indie pub stuff. Then we're seeing their 3-book deal at Tor Night Fire. You know what I mean? Like
that just like being able to help get them out there one way or another, whether it's just in it gets in the right hands, you hand sell to the right person, like whatever it is, and like being able to facilitate that and helping people like make more of the weird art they want to make is like what keeps me getting up in the morning about it. Yeah.
Incredible.
No, I love that. Well, cool. Well, thank you guys again for coming on and talking.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, this was so much fun. It's always interesting when it's anybody's first time on, like talking like this, right? Because I've been following you guys probably for at least a year, if not a little bit longer, and then just seeing the things that y'all are doing, but it's just really cool to get an opportunity to like chat a little bit, sort of, not really face to face technically, but
I mean this is as good as it gets.
Because like I live like south, like I'm far.
But it's also like I feel like I get like a little bit of a weird thing now that like we have like a social media presence that is like sometimes video, like that Jay doesn't get, because like our social media like film person, like our part-timer who films everything, like I'm often there, so like people will come up to me and be like, I've seen you on the Instagram or whatever. But like Jay doesn't get that, so like it's nice to like actually get to both be and to talk about it, because like otherwise I'm just the silly guy like running around on TikTok.
Was it you under the sheet and the most recent? Okay. I assumed I was like thinking, I'm like, how in the world did he manage to do that without falling? Like I can't walk across the room without running into something.
So the trick, other than this dog, We have a very cuddly Rottweiler.
No, he's sweet. No worries.
Is that I actually, so the eyes are felt, and I stripped the felt so you can see through them.
Oh, you could see through. I'm like, that is some that's a lot. That's a lot of commitment for social media. I am clumsy as hell.
Because it does sometimes feel like Sarah comes in with her tripod and her camera and is like, okay, dance monkey, dance. And I'm like, oh. Can I go back to editing now?
Oh man, cool. Social media is that's a whole game in and of itself.
We have to do it though, unfortunately, because there's no other way to advertise.
That's it.
And also it's bad now and no one's seeing anything. So I'm doing it, but I'm like, what is this for?
It's weird. It's super weird. Yeah. And I think we're kind of experiencing that too. And it's like on every platform, it's not just one. Like I'm noticing it on like Twitter is, who knows, but even on Instagram, or like story engagements are completely changed now. And then like we just celebrated, we just passed 1,000 subscribers. Like
congrats. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Like a few weeks ago or something. And we're like, holy shit, like our subs are rising, but like our views are, I'm like, what is happening? We were so like, dude, we had like weeks where we were just like doing for us, killing it for us, our version of killing it, like on our views. And then it was like, we reached this milestone. I'm like, what happened? Like,
well, get ready. Once you release some content with us, prepare to plummet. It's just
gonna be
it's your second to last show. You don't know yet.
Producers are calling. We're out.
Yeah.
But yes, it's been weird. I think everybody's kind of experiencing it. And then it's like I don't know if you feel this way, but I always feel self-conscious about oversharing. Like I'm like, oh, like, but if I don't promote the stuff, or like we don't promote our stuff, then like how are people going to know about it? And I know that. I tell other people that, but I'm like, I can't tell people to buy my stuff. That's weird. You know what I mean? Like I struggle with that.
It is I totally get that. And I experience the same. I experience the same thing online. I feel the same way about it.
He's the worst. He doesn't do it.
But like, it's hard. It's so hard.
But my last book came from a publisher I really liked, because they had really good editing notes and they had a really good design. I was really happy with it. Nose Touch is what they're called, and they're Chicago based. But they just don't do anything in social media. They don't do anything whatsoever, and their rates are decent for like royalties and stuff. Not like good, but like yeah. And so I was just like, don't you want to sell your stuff?
This is what I mean. Dance monkey dance.
You gotta do
you're exactly right.
Summoning videos for Madison's book, and I'm like, whatever, I don't care. I'll like twirl a sign to tell everyone how cool Madison McSweeney is, because she wrote this amazing book that everyone should read. Like, it's easier than someone else's.
Yeah,
right?
Like, and
it's so much easier when it's someone else's.
Yeah, and that's how I feel when we have releases coming out. I'm like, no, there's all these authors that like.
You did the ritual thing. That's
what I mean. Yeah, like it's. Awesome. I don't feel anything about that.
That was really cool. Yeah. Well, and I think too, like, I think it's to your point, like when I am promoting something we did to promote someone else, I'm much better at promoting that. Even though it's technically promoting us, it's like boosting someone else. But like I've self-published. My list is growing. Like I have quite a few things, and I'm like, I don't even buy it. It's fine. Like I can't even.
That drives me actually batshit. It drives me batshit, and you're all like this, and I love you. But like I'm begging you to like, we had a lovely author whose work I love, and they did an amazing, just like kick-ass reading at our queer horror reading, and I'm like. Doing some stuff, and they go, oh, just out of curiosity, could you look up this book? Because I was like on Ingram ordering some stuff, and I'm like, yeah, sure. And I look it up, and I was like, is this your novella? And they're like, yeah, I self-published it. Oh, I just wanted to make sure it showed up there. No big deal. And I was like, I could have had it for you to sign at that reading, and I would have stopped it. And I would stalk it. Like, what are you even talking about? Please tell me. I don't know that you self-published a book 2 years ago. Like, I am not a mind reader. Help me help you.
I know.
There's a quick story on that. No. We have a friend that we've had like drinks with at bars and stuff, and we've had like we hung out at dinner, and like I don't know if we ever saw a movie with them. We're not there, but like we just had an escape room. We just did an escape room with him, and I'll keep his name anonymous, but
he's been coming into my comics cafe for 10 years.
Aww,
and then we were doing an anthology for Your Flight Has Been Canceled, which is and then one of your favorite ones you picked, and I was like, this one's really good. Wait a minute, that can't be fucking the guy. And then like
I've never known his last name.
I mean, yeah.
Because why would you?
Yeah, sure.
And so it turns out a story I accepted, but was by this person I've known for a decade.
Yeah, and we were like,
that is so funny.
Why didn't you say anything? I'm like, I knew I was a writer. I'm like, kind of, but I didn't like know you had finished stuff. Like, I didn't know like any. I thought you just like dabbled. I didn't like. That's crazy.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It was great. Yeah. I was like so excited.
It's cool, but no, I get what you're saying. You're like, you're right. We are.
Advocate.
We are. We're all like this. You're right, and it's so funny because it wasn't until like, and I'm not even joking. So I've had published stuff since 2022, and I didn't even start calling myself an author until like a month ago. Like I couldn't bring myself to like say it.
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing. But again, if someone were telling me that that's how they felt, I would be like, if you don't get the fuck over it and start pushing your stuff and talking about yourself, like do it now. Like that's what that's what I would be telling other people. But when it comes to myself,
I don't know what y'all talking about. I'm a gay guy from Long Island. I'm all about love me.
I mean, my advice also is to have your partner do it if you can't do it. So like,
what am I doing?
No, I think that like that's been helpful for you because like I'll do it. Like I'll be like, okay, like we filmed a small author interview for Jay because I was just like, okay, like tell me about your 4 books that you have out because like you have 4 fucking books out right now. So yeah, like I used to mentor at like a youth program for artists, and that was the thing that I found about that program. So like the sort of like disadvantaged youth programs, they had like a business planning one that I had been a mentor for a number of years, and then they decided to try to do a for artists one. And then we did we always did a pitch your business.
Okay.
They tried to do it with the artist cohort, and they were like, hey, pitch your art, and no one would fucking get up. And I was like, okay, partner. Everyone gets a partner. Pitch your art to your friend.
And then have them do it.
Now your friend pitches your art. And then everyone was very excited.
I can see that making sense.
Artist problem, right? So if you can't, and I tell people this, I'm like, if you can't sit at the marketplace table at Spooky Marketplace and sell your stuff, switch chairs with your neighbor.
That's a good system. That makes a lot of sense.
It makes perfect sense because it's easier to do that I just think like, especially if you're like a naturally supportive person, that's something you like to do and it's very meaningful for you, then it's easier to do it that way. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, you think your friend's pottery is rad as fuck, but they just want to spin the wheel, right? Like, I think your jewelry is crazy shit and they don't know how you do it. Let them sell that. Like, right? Like, change it. Change the game because, like,
I like that. That's a good point.
You aren't necessarily the PR person for you. This is why that's a whole different job.
Yeah. I keep trying to get my husband to crowdfund a game he wants to make, like a card game.
Cool.
He doesn't push himself. I'm like,
you should run the crowdfund.
And that one is
be like, this is so cool.
Yeah, he gets some pretty great ideas.
Yeah, because all the energy is going into those ideas. They don't have anything left to promote. Like, what are you expecting from us?
Yeah, we actually were just talking today. I think it was today about a friend of ours coming in and like doing our marketing stuff for us because like first of all, I have a hard time
doing this stuff. It's cool. Like
well, and it's like like I'm super good about the initiating, right? I'll message people. I've got like my calendar for September is bananas. Like I'm great at that part. I feel like I'm pretty okay at talking to people. I can do all of those things. But then once it's out, I'm like, please watch this thing. And then, you know, like you always have people like in the background, right? Or of your brain. Because like when I originally decided to start Voices almost 3 years ago now, like, or over 3 years ago now, I was married at the time. And the person that I was married to was like, you shouldn't do that because it's not niche enough. Like it's too wide. And I'm like, look, buddy, I'm like, I'm going to do it anyway because, but I remember starting out and like letting that affect like my desire to promote and engage and interact because I was like, no one's going to like it, you know, like immediately, like with no reasoning behind that whatsoever. And so we have a friend of ours that, well, you probably know Tasha from the Sinister Scoop.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tasha took marketing stuff and then she's doing like editing work for a different couple, different people, places, things. And, but anyway, she like learned about all the hashtags and all of the shit that like, I don't fucking know anything about. And so, and she's like, she has the time, like that she's doing this full time now. So I was talking to her and I was like, hey, here's like a list of things that I would be looking for. Do you want to think about this and see if we can come up with a pricing? I can pay you to like do these for the channel because as it is right now, I'm not getting stuff out to share like I need to. And I'm about to hopefully start school again in January. We just combined households. I now live now where it's like a group, there's 3 children. Like it's like my life is chaos, but in like the best way. I don't want this very important part of me to like fall behind, you know? And so like I kind of need help in those areas because I'm not good at them anyway, because I feel guilty for telling people to watch my stuff. So it's like, you know, or read the stuff or whatever. Right. And so anyway, so we were just talking about that today, about having somebody come on and kind of do that for us to kind of relieve some of the fear and the anxiety that I get about being annoying online.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Cause like we have someone, so we had a, extremely part-time staff member. She was laid off from Shopify when they did the big layoffs in Toronto. And she went back to like, she was working for the Bay. I don't know where she is now, but she does like photography and like social media and stuff for different companies. Perfect. She was doing 1 day a week at Little Ghosts, selling books because she really likes it there. And then she left, but she really never left. Like I would come in and she was just like hanging around in there being like, but I just like to be here. Aww. And then I was complaining. I was like, you know, like it sucks to be like mid book order and like, you know, doing marketplace and be in edits and then be like, I got to post the Instagram thing of new books, or like, oh, I haven't touched our TikTok in 2 weeks. Like put the thing on a, put the iPad on a shelf and I'll run around, I guess. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so you're just
I get it.
And then I was like, now we do a thing where she comes in on Saturday mornings, like before we're open, and I've sent her like 4 or 5 ideas, and also like I have the new books out, so she photographs all those, and then we go through my 4 or 5 ideas of like things that are going on in the shop, and she like brainstorms things to do, and then she like films everything, and then she edits it, and then she just sends it to me in a Dropbox so that I can be like, this is Tuesday, this is Thursday, this is, you know.
And free.
That's a great way to do it.
And just having that person to take hands off some of the stuff makes it so much easier. And it's also like, because she was asking me, she was like, oh, do you think this engagement equals sales? And I was like, Sarah, I think that having you here excited about what we're doing and being like, wow, another book came out from the press, and being like, wow, okay, like come sit here, and like giggling at me while we do these things is like worth so much for my morale, because I'd just be in here by myself. Trying to like conjure enthusiasm out of exhaustion.
No, for sure. That makes perfect sense. I
like you, and I think that like this is a nice activity that we get to do. So I don't know if it's about that for me. I think it's just making what was a chore a nice thing that happens in my week,
and it becomes something. Like you said, it lifts all that pressure off of it. That's awesome though. And to know that you've created a space where like people just somebody would just want to be there. Like that's really nice. That's like probably the best compliment you could ever get. It's like, I just want to be here.
Like, what she's doing for the weekend. She's like, okay, I'm gonna go and
hang out
and I'm doing this. And I'm like, it was nice to see you, and I'll see you next week.
And she's got good outfits.
She does.
She's got
yeah.
She knows what she's doing.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys again for doing this. I had a blast. Yeah. It was so nice getting to know y'all and talking about the business and stuff. And as I mentioned earlier, links to where you can find them will be in the description for this episode. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Fantastic Fest goes. I'll be paying attention.
Yeah. I've never been to one of these.
So all the luck. Have a great time. Yeah. Like, I'm excited for y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I see the Frankenstein poster behind you?
Huh? Oh, yeah.
That's pretty good. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
He's actually an original done by an artist in Atlanta, Georgia, where I live.
Right on.
The number's on it. I think the frame is covering it. He did 35 of them. This is 17.
Not bad.
Nice.
Very cool.
Looking good. Good one.
My favorite. He's the best. I you know what's dumb though? That's not good because he's my favorite. I have nothing over him.
Oh.
Because there's a glare. If you have like you know what I mean? So I'm just like, no one touch it. But then like I'll roll my chair back and like sometimes just not even thinking about it and I'll bump it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Please don't be mad. Like, please don't fall down.
Like, like a light sheet when you're not recording over them, you know?
My God.
Yeah, but anyway, no, he's like my pride and joy. So he's front and center. When we moved, I kind of lost like my recording space because 3 kids. And so I'm in like a corner. My partner's computer is across from me. And so like I'm in like this little nook. And I was like, I need to make it my own. Like I need it to be like a space. You know what I mean? Because like where I lived before, I had a room, but like I never did anything with it. And it was just like not super comforting to be like, oh, this is like all my shit, you know? And so I was like, I'm going to do it. And so like we got like my little bitty things going on. So I like it. It works. The best of a small space. My desk is like literally the size of my laptop. It works.
Yeah.
It's fine.
The trick of the camera, the space always looks bigger than it is.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like this is my closet. It's like, yeah, it works really, really good, and it helps too because like my partner was actually the one that was like, no, like put your stuff up, like make it, you know, like make it what you want it to be, you know, like so that you like it the way that it looks. And I was like, okay, and so I did, and I'm so glad that I listened because I really do love it. And then that, like, you know, just keep adding stuff. I got a couple little small things I want to put on the wall beside me, but anyway, but yeah, no, he's my favorite thing that I own art wise.
That's amazing.
He's the best. I'm going to have a Frankenstein tattoo at some point, but I want it to be really elaborate, which means expensive. And so one day, but it'll happen.
And you got to wait to see what Del Toro does with Frankenstein.
Listen, I have always said, if anybody needed to touch the Universal monsters, it's him. And so like when they announced it, I was like, no shit, that's me. I prophesized that. I knew that was coming.
Oh,
like,
you're right.
I can't wait. Like his history with monsters, especially Universal monsters, because his experience with Creature from the Black Lagoon inspired like almost his whole career. And anyway, and so yeah, when they announced that he was doing it, I was like,
he loves an autopsy. He can't get enough of an autopsy.
Yeah.
6% of Frankenstein's an autopsy.
That's true. That's true. I'm so excited about it. I was hoping he was going to get an opportunity to maybe do like all of them. Like I really love the Wolfman and the Creature. Those are my top 3. I mean, I like you know, Dracula's cool and stuff, but I like kind of over my vampire phase. That was high school. But yeah, it's been cool to see. Like I was super pumped about it because like I love his everything he touches is so magical. Oh, I love it so much. But anyway, yeah. So Frankenstein's my homie. He just stands back there brooding while his stitches are cut, you know.
As he should.
Yeah, as he should. Well, cool. Well, anyways, thank you guys for hanging out with us. Go check out Little Ghost Bookstore. Their website and socials and everything will be, like I said, in the description, so you can go check them out. And yeah, I think that's all we have for this episode. Thank you guys so much again. Hope you have a good rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend, and we will see you in the next one.
Thank you so much.
Bye.